As luck would have it, Jason had been looking forward to this fence for over a year. Every paycheck, he'd stashed away a little extra, and finally, the time had come. But the day before installation, his company downsized, and he was let go. Perfect timing, he muttered bitterly. The last thing he wanted to do was spend money now, but since he had already paid the deposit, he figured, what's done is done. The crew arrived on schedule, shovels in hand. Jason sat inside, laptop glowing, filling out job applications. Through the kitchen window, he watched the workers labor in the sun. That's when he noticed one of them, crouched at a post hole, sticking his arm deep into the dirt. The man's expression froze, eyes wide, hands brushing at something hidden below. Gold. Jason didn't know it yet, but the worker did. The man called over the foreman, Miguel. They exchanged quick words in Spanish, too quiet and hurried for Jason to understand. Miguel walked over to Jason's back door with a forced smile. "Senor, the job is going to take a little longer than expected. If you want, you could go run some errands. We'll handle everything here." Something in their behavior made Jason suspicious. The sudden shift in tone, the awkward glances. But honestly, he needed a break. He grabbed his keys and headed toward the grocery store. Halfway there, he realized his wallet was still on the counter. With a groan, he pulled into a gas station first to cash in an old $20 lottery ticket tucked in his visor. Then he turned back home. When Jason pulled into his driveway, the scene was nothing like he expected. No posts were going up, no planks stacked neatly for progress. Instead, the crew huddled in a circle around the very hole that had drawn their attention earlier. They hadn't noticed him. Jason parked in the garage, grabbed a soda from the fridge, and called out cheerfully, "How's it coming along?" The workers jumped. Miguel rushed toward him. "Senor, there's a gas leak. Very dangerous. We need you to leave while we call the city." Jason frowned. "A gas leak? Why on earth are you digging that deep for a fence? What kind of amateurs are you?" His patience snapped. "You know what? Forget it. You're done. Pack up, get off my property. I'll pay you for your time, but I don't want a fence anymore." The men protested, voices raised, but Jason's anger was final. Miguel's jaw clenched, though he smiled faintly. "Fine. For now." Weeks later, Jason's savings dwindled. No job offers, no interviews. Out of desperation, he decided to try finishing the fence himself. After a few YouTube tutorials and a trip to the hardware store, he was out in the yard, measuring and digging. That's when Miguel appeared again, casual as ever, as if by coincidence. "Senor Jason," he said, raising a hand in greeting. "I wanted to apologize. I can finish the fence for free, to restore my reputation." Jason shook his head. "No thanks. I need to stay busy. Gives me something to do." Miguel smiled, but his eyes lingered too long on the dirt. Too long on the hole. Later that night, in a dimly lit parking lot, Miguel's crew pressed him hard. "When are we going back? I want my cut," one demanded. "I got family waiting for me in Mexico." Another clenched his fists. "I just got out of prison, Miguel. I promised my girl a house. Don't make me wait." Miguel raised his hands to calm them. "Tonight, we wait until it's dark. Flashlights only. We dig fast, we dig quiet. No mistakes. The gold will be ours." And so, under the cover of midnight, the men crept back toward Jason's yard, shovels in hand, eyes gleaming with greed, ready to unearth what Jason didn't yet know he had been standing on all along. The night was still, a heavy summer heat clinging to the air. Jason slept restlessly, the weight of unemployment gnawing at him. Bills sat unopened on the kitchen counter. Tomorrow, he promised himself, he'd make more calls, send more resumes. Out in the yard, however, movement stirred. Miguel and his crew slipped through the shadows, flashlights dimmed to narrow beams. Their shovels pierced the soil with muffled thuds. They worked feverishly, sweat dripping as they dug deeper into the spot where they'd struck gold days before. "Faster," Miguel hissed, "before he wakes." One of the men struck something solid, a dull clang. Excitement surged through them. The beam of a flashlight revealed the unmistakable glint of yellow. Gold, gold. Real gold. Sad cold gold. The men muttered rapid Spanish, voices rising with greedy anticipation. Miguel's eyes darted to Jason's house, every window dark. "Quiet," he warned. "We don't wake him." But Jason was awake. A strange rhythm had pulled him from sleep. The faint scrape of metal, the low rumble of voices outside. At first he thought it was a dream, but as it continued, his instincts sharpened. He slipped out of bed, crept through the hallway, and peeked out the back window. There they were, the workers, in his yard, digging. His pulse spiked. He grabbed the nearest thing at hand, a baseball bat propped by the back door, and stepped out onto the porch. "Hey!" he barked. The men froze. Flashlights swung toward him. Jason descended the steps, gripping the bat tightly. "What the hell do you think you're doing on my property?" Miguel stepped forward, hands raised in a feigned calm. "Senor Jason, it's not what it looks like." "Oh, it's exactly what it looks like," Jason shot back. "You're trespassing, digging. After I fired you, get out, now, or I'm calling the cops." Miguel's jaw tightened. "Listen, you don't understand. What's in the ground, it's not yours." Jason blinked. "Not mine? This is my yard, Miguel. Anything under this dirt is mine." One of the men spat angrily in Spanish. Another gripped his shovel like a weapon. The tension thickened. Jason raised the bat. "You think I'm just gonna let you steal from me, after you tried to trick me with that gas leak story?" Miguel lowered his voice, almost pleading now. "If you knew what was here, you wouldn't waste time fighting me. That gold." "Gold!" Jason cut him off, heart skipping. He glanced at the hole, catching a faint shimmer in the flashlight beams. His suspicion turned to stunned realization. "That's what this is about? Gold? On my land?" The men shifted uneasily, glaring at Miguel. One growled, "We should take it now, before he calls anyone." Jason stepped closer, bat raised high. "Try me. I don't care if it's gold or dirt, you're not stealing from me." For a moment, the air seemed to crackle, both sides waiting for the other to make a move. Miguel finally dropped his hands. "Fine, we'll go. But this isn't over. Jason, you can't keep what you don't understand." The crew backed away slowly, muttering among themselves, flashlights flickering out one by one, until the yard was dark again. Jason stood by the hole, breathing hard, knuckles white on the bat. He looked down at the faint glimmer beneath the soil. His life had changed in an instant. Unemployed, nearly broke, and suddenly standing over a secret that strangers were willing to fight for. Jason didn't sleep the rest of that night. He sat at the kitchen table, staring at his phone, debating whether to call the police. But what would he say? "There's gold in my backyard? Some guys tried to steal it?" They'd laugh him off. Or worse, the city would claim the land rights, and the treasure would vanish into red tape. By sunrise, he knew one thing. If he wanted to keep this discovery, he'd have to protect it himself. For the next 2 days, Jason worked like a man possessed. He bought heavy tarps, plywood, even a lock for the backyard gate. He dug carefully around the glimmering metal, revealing more each hour. What he uncovered wasn't just scattered nuggets. It was a solid vein, running deep, enough to change his life forever. But Miguel hadn't forgotten. On the third night, just past midnight, Jason heard it again. The crunch of gravel, the squeak of the side gate. His stomach tightened. This time, he was ready. He slipped into the yard with the bat in one hand and his phone recording in the other. The flash of lights revealed Miguel and 3 of his crew, shovels at the ready. Jason's voice cut through the dark. "I told you this was over." The men froze. Miguel stepped forward, but Jason could see the glint of desperation in his eyes now, not confidence. "You don't understand," Miguel said. "We need this. You don't know what this gold can do for us." Jason tightened his grip on the bat. "And you don't know what I've lost. My job, my savings, my future. That gold is the only chance I've got left, and it's mine." One of the men snapped, lunging forward with his shovel. Jason swung the bat, connecting with a sharp crack that sent the shovel clattering to the dirt. The man staggered back, cursing. Miguel shouted, "Stop! Enough!" He looked at Jason, chest heaving. "Fine, you win tonight, but men like us, we don't give up easy." Jason pointed the bat toward the street. "Then you'd better start walking before the cops show up." He tapped his phone. Everything's recorded. You come back again, I'll have proof, and you'll be in jail before you touch another shovel. Silence hung heavy. Finally, Miguel nodded once, signaling his crew to leave. They slipped away into the night, their dreams of gold retreating with them. Jason stood alone in the yard, heart pounding, bat still raised. When the gate shut behind them, he dropped the bat and looked down at the faint golden glimmer that had started all of this. For the first time in weeks, he allowed himself a small smile. His luck had turned, but it had coughed. He'd discovered that fortune wasn't just about what lay buried in the ground. It was about the grit to defend it, the courage to stand his ground, and the stubborn belief that his life wasn't finished yet. Jason whispered to the earth itself, "As luck would have it, maybe this is my second chance." And as the moonlight caught the buried vein, the gold seemed to shine back in agreement. Weeks passed. Jason worked on the yard little by little, careful not to draw attention. At night he covered the dig site with tarps and plywood. By day, he chipped away at the vein in secret, storing what he pulled up in an old toolbox hidden in the garage. It wasn't long before he had more than he could have dreamed. Enough to pay his bills, pay off his mortgage, and still have a small fortune left untouched. But Jason didn't rush to cash it in. He knew flashing sudden wealth would raise questions. Instead, he sold it off quietly, piece by piece, to small dealers across the state. No paper trail, no suspicions. The men never came back. Whether Miguel had decided the risk was too great, or whether his crew turned on him out of frustration, Jason never found out. And he didn't care to. The threat was gone, and his future was back in his own hands. Months later, Jason stood at the edge of his yard, where the ground had been smoothed over and the post holes finally lined with sturdy wooden fence posts. His work, not anyone else's. He leaned on the finished fence, listening to the quiet hum of the neighborhood. He thought back to that night with the bat in his hands, heart pounding against his ribs. It struck him that luck wasn't something that simply arrived. It was something you fought for, something he defended when the world tried to take it away. Jason smiled, breathing deep the summer air. The fence stood tall, the gold lay hidden no more, and for the first time in a long time, he felt steady again. As luck would have it, he whispered to himself, life gave me exactly what I needed, just not the way I expected. And this time, he was ready for whatever came next.